What's going on, everyone? American Leeds, the American Leeds YouTube channel. I hope you are doing well. My name's Alex. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome in to American Leeds. I'm doing it. I'm doing the American announcer. I'm gonna keep it rolling. I think I fixed my audio. I think I had some problems previous, but I'm just now getting in the groove. I hope you're all doing well. It's been one of those nights. Let's start off with Gareth Southgate. What are you missing?
know
What are you
it's been it is an experiment, and we know that we don't have a natural replacement for a Calvin Phillips, but
You don't have a natural replacement for who?
we're trying some different things, and at the moment we're not flowing as we'd like. That's for sure. No, it is an experiment, and we know that we don't have a natural replacement for a Calvin Phillips, but we're trying some different things, and at the moment we're not flowing as we'd like. That's for sure.
Humana. We don't have a natural replacement for Calvin Phillips. Look, he was England's Player of the Year. Let's go back even further. The last game, one of the last games of the year under COVID in the Premier League, he got injured. And I remember he opted not to have surgery and then basically played his tail off for Gareth Southgate and was England's Player of the Year. They got all the way to the final. And for whatever reason, he was incredible. I mean, he was so good during that Euros because really him and Declan Rice um, played as a holding two, right? Like Calvin really didn't get forward, in my opinion, too much. He did have license to, which was interesting. And Jude Bellingham at the time was not. He was at Dortmund, right? I mean, he was not. He was even younger. What was he? 17. Um. So, anyways, you are missing KP, in my opinion. But that shouldn't be an excuse. You have the best, probably on paper, the best squad in the world. It would probably behoove England to eventually move on that that player. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Uh what else happened today? Did everybody see the beer being poured on the gentleman's head? That was terrible. I mean, it was good, but it was bad. I've been, in situations. Unfortunately, I've been the lad on the steps where the beer is being kind of put on. Not in that exact scenario, but um, I don't drink anymore, and I'm happy I don't. Let's just say that I don't get in situations like that. I try to stay out of them. Um, it's best you do. In fact, anybody over the age of 40, you know what I'm talking about. You're kind of happy in some respect that your youth is over with. Um, how about this guy?
To take over, but they don't. Bellingham, unfortunately, was a little bit anonymous today, and I felt that at least Southgate had to go with the substitutions. As it maybe we want the big players to take over, but they don't. Bellingham, unfortunately, was a little bit anonymous today, and I felt that at least Southgate had to go with the substitutions. As it
We're everywhere. That's right. We all love Leeds. We all love Leeds. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Leeds fans and the United States continues to be I don't have any time for McKinney and Adams and and Jesse Marsh continuing to talk about Leeds United. It's really quite laborsome at this point. But they'll keep talking about it because really, quite honestly, they might have all peaked at Leeds. I hate to say it, they peaked, and they peaked in a job where they didn't get it done. So, um, yeah. Here is the example of some American announcing where we're comparing the greats of world football.
There's nobody like Messi, and I don't think that there ever will be somebody like Messi. It's a generational talent. It's like Maradona, and then Messi has just had that crown. But there's other players, Jude Bellingham, Pulisic's coming up. There's nobody like Messi, and I don't think that.
I'm sorry, what?
That there ever will be somebody like Messi. It's a generational talent. It's like Maradona, and then Messi has just had that crown. But there's other players, Jude Bellingham, Pulisic's coming up.
We went from the greatest people to ever lace up boots, ever lace it up. Maradona, Messi, Jude Bellingham, potential Ballon d'Or winner, Christian Pulisic. Man goes missing in big games. Will probably never play in the Premier League again. Will never get invited to a Ballon d'Or award ceremony. Like, what are we doing? I think she said it without blinking. Kudos to her, but ice cold take, my friend. Ice cold take, my dear friend. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. And this, to wrap it all up here, I mean, this really just sums everything up. Former USMNT star boy, Landon Donovan. I mean, what is this? What is this? I saw this so many times. I refused to look at it in my feed. And then finally I said, oh, okay, all right, what's going on? All right. And then finally somebody posts the screenshot of him answering to it. Or apparently this was answering to it. Disclosing in a text thread or iMessage thread that he was getting a hair transplant and that they said it wouldn't show up on camera. Oh my God. Embarrassing. What are you doing? This is the guy that called out David Beckham for not playing for the LA Galaxy. I just not a good week for the USMNT. And you know what? It goes further than this. Here is the USMNT former Leeds United pair, Weston McKennie and
You done?
And Tyler Adams on a Truly commercial. If you don't know Truly, it's a beverage for it's an alcoholic seltzer. What are we doing? Refreshing.
Weston, you done?
Truly. All right, we'll stop it there. I don't have time for Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie. I look, I am an American fan. I do root for the USMNT. I hope that they, when the whistle blows, I will be rooting for them. But until that time comes, I have to be critical. And I don't have time for them. I don't care that Tyler Adams doesn't care what Leeds United fans think of him. Poor choice of words. I don't care that Weston McKennie was called fat. You're a professional football player. You're paid millions of dollars. People thought you were out of shape and you lost a lot of games. I don't know what to tell you, Weston. I don't know what to tell you. I wouldn't be out there probably screaming things at you, but I mean at the same time I don't feel sorry that you were called fat. I don't know. I'm maybe more harsh. So sometimes, I don't know. It just comes with the territory. So I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with, I just don't have a lot of time for. What I do have a lot of time for, I have a lot of time for a gentleman named Jack Harrison. Look, 3 goals, 3 assists with Everton. I will probably say he's done in a Leeds United shirt with another loan being finalized in the next 24 to 48 hours, apparently, from all the rumors from Fabrizio Romano to Ben Jacobs. This one seems to be coming over the line. If I'm an Everton fan, yes, it's something that has been done on the cheap. As a Leeds United fan, he could obviously offer some quality for us in the championship. I think he's got a great story too. I just admire him from leaving Man United Academy, going to private school here in America, going to university here in America, getting selected in the MLS, grinding, wanting to be a soccer player / a football player. I think he's the number 1 overall pick in the MLS by New York City FC. He's under club control for from the City Group, whatever. Comes to Leeds on loan, several years, obviously, and then fits with Marcelo Bielsa's squad. So I've got a lot of time for Jack Harrison. The number 1 asset I always said about Jack Harrison is that he's fit. Show the F up. That's what I tell people all the time. I really specifically try to tell young people that. Show up. Just show up. Even if you're not prepared, show up and take the whatever it is, perceived failure that you're going to have. And now Jack didn't fail all the time, but he, in fact, he succeeded quite a bit, but he was always available. And that kind of thing is rare. And I always said, fit as the butcher's dog. I appreciated Jack's hard work. I appreciated Jack's story. I don't think we'll ever see him in a Leeds shirt. So much success to him in Everton. Obviously, we're not going to be playing him. So I will, maybe in those moments root for that player. And appreciated his time. Obviously peaked under Marcelo Bielsa. One of all those players that really did probably peak their careers under the god that is Marcelo Bielsa. So thank you, Jack, and best of luck next year. From a Leeds United fan's perspective, we clear the books of his wages, which is fantastic. Mark Rocca also rumored to be sold on a permanent deal for $5 million. I don't know how much of a loss of this is going to be, but again, this is clearing some books of some wages that I think a player that didn't want to be here. So Aaronson's so now if we recap, we have Jack Harrison on loan, clearing the books, Mark Rocca sale, $5 million. Aaronson's coming back. Christensen, we don't know. Possibly coming back. Max Vober, we don't know. Diego Llorente, we don't know. Sinistera, people forget. Sinistera, we sold for $20 million. So those are in the coffers as of, I believe, last year. But that is money in the doors, especially in the championship FFP. People are forgetting that money, but $20 million on the books there. Robin Koch, we lost on a free. One that I am going to be interested in, one of the loanees that he wasn't a turncoat or a snake, so to speak, was Darko Jabi. Only 19 years old. He is somebody that I would be interested in seeing maybe compete for a spot. I mean, obviously, I don't think he's going to get ahead of the current midfielders, but if we sell somebody like I've got Mark Rock on the brain, but Gruev. If we sell Gruev, maybe Darko can compete off the bench. Hey Carl, how you doing? I'm doing excellent, mate. I'm doing excellent. So yeah, some good business by us. Good business by us. And then the final thing here is I went back and forth with this Everton fan. Or not Everton fan, Brighton fan. And I just want to kind of, I want to disclose this because I think it's unfair to us as fans, but this just kind of gives me a window into the world in English football and why Leeds United might be so hated. But anyways, I, in the last video, said that Cree Somerville will not be sold until late. Several people came in and corrected me and said he has to be sold by the 30th. And that might all be true because of FFP. And I think there's some rules around maybe bigger clubs having more resources after the 30th of June. Anyways, my bottom line was there's 3 teams interested in this player, and that can create competition. Brighton want to get this done quickly. And he didn't like the fact that I said that there would be a bidding war. And he says, I'm just going to call him MH or something. His name's something. MH. I'm just going to call him MH. I don't know what his real name is. No bids. It's only Brighton, and there will be no bidding war. Leeds will either sell to Brighton at the price they want pretty swiftly, or they'll walk. Leeds have been given a chance to take an offer. To take one offer Brighton will make with real available cash. Whoever these anonymous 49ers are, they're not in the same league as Bloom, I assume the owner. They will be dealing with one man who doesn't play silly games, and Brighton seriously doesn't need to sign this kid. This just a convenient opportunity being investigated. They'll have dozens of cheaper and probably better alternatives lined up in South America, Africa, and Asia. However, it's the only chance Somerville has at actually playing Premier League football next season. If any other interested clubs somehow circumvent FFP, he'll be sitting on the bench, and I don't think that's the idea of his great next move. So tell me how there's a bidding war between clubs that are restricted by FFP and don't have any upfront cash available at all, and the offer and only can offer installments, which doesn't help noble cause of Leeds buying their way out of the championship with borrowed money. We go back and forth. I'm like, $35 million is a fair price. You guys can walk. No worries. To me, he's going to be sold, right? It's just getting the right price for him. And, I'm like, hey, $35 million. I would do that deal for Crescencio Somerville. 95% is a fair price. And I'll get into this kind of Yorkshire, insults, I will say, or I don't know how to say it, Yorkshire stereotyping that happens here. And then I said 95% of this post is inaccurate. And some of it is, but you don't know who the 49ers are. He will be playing Premier League football probably next year. He'll be playing at a higher level, fine, if you don't want to say Premier League. And that there's not a bid winner. To me, there's 3 teams interested in. Okay, fine. He goes on to say, seriously, Brighton don't need your permission to walk. They don't need the player, but regardless of the Red Bull cash, Leeds still need the money. We just sold Sinistera for $20 million. I'll just digress there. I don't think we're cash strapped, and then we got a Red Bull investment, and we're also covered by a fairly rich ownership group, but whatever. I'm really intrigued at how this is 95% accurate. Obviously, British football fan with 50 years being a season ticket holder doesn't know how much numerous inaccuracies are too much for you to correct, but please don't bother correcting it all. Just because any 5% of it, 1% of it, please demonstrate your vast knowledge. Although I would recommend that you read the fine print, the differing pros and cons of the 2 separate FFP conditions that affect Leeds in the championship and any club in the Premier League who may be interested in this kid. the only club who can afford to pay full price that Leeds need quickly to be able to include it as liquidity in this window is Brighton, and they're completely unaffected by any financial restrictions after profits of over 120 million pounds. If I'm wrong, explain why. I said, hey, you're right. And this could be a good deal on both sides. Brighton has run very well. And you know what? Let's be honest, as Leeds United fans, Brighton has run extremely well, right? They are a little bit, as being a smaller club than us. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it, Brighton fans. You're a smaller club. You have less fans. You have a smaller arena. You're run extremely well. There is no doubt about that. You are run professionally, and you have had stronger owners than Rad Razani, who was our previous owner up until basically 12 months ago. So you were absolutely, and you are envy of a lot of clubs that are in that mid-major, market. And now you are more established Premier League club. So I get all that. Absolutely right. I'm sure you made $120 million in profit. Fantastic for you. But I disagree that I personally, this is me responding to him. I disagree that there's some desperation for cash. I understand FFP is different in the championship. If we were in the Prem, Leeds United, we would be anywhere between the 10th and 6th richest club. Doesn't matter. We have to sell, and I understand that. There are several assets we would be willing to listen to. Cree is one. I can just tell you the historical knowledge. Whenever there has been a deadline for the 49ers franchise, I'm explaining here, the 30th, whether it be the 30th of June or the 31st of August, the 49ers will take their time. I'm telling you guys that as Leeds United fans. They don't leak, and they wait to see who. It's a poker game to them. Okay, so if you blink first, they have patient. I'm trying to explain this to you and to him. They have what's called patient capital, and I actually literally go on to say that they have patient capital. Let's not forget this has to be this all has to be sold to the player as well. Who knows? He maybe goes to 20 million to Brighton tomorrow. I think anywhere between north of 30 would be fantastic, and I literally do think that. Somerville has got a bit of an ego, which can be a good thing. He struggled to track back at times. I go through in the history of Somerville and what kind of player you might be getting. He writes back a lot of stuff about Leeds United, and this is kind of the part that got me my head scratched. If you think about the numerous, if you mess around with numbers and pick and choose your criteria, any team can be considered rich, but it's the ownership who actually has the riches, not the clubs. But regardless, Leeds are nowhere near the financial abilities of the most established Premier League clubs. Plus, rich or very rich or even filthy rich doesn't change anything about FFP. Ask Todd, the moron at Chelsea. It's about managing your finances and not being able to be misled by the value of ownership. I have no idea, nor do I care how much the 49ers are worth. It doesn't change FFP. And Tony Bloom may be a billionaire who invested 500 million into Brighton over the last 15 years through building a highly rated new stadium, one of the top men's and women's training facilities in Europe, a 5-star rated European youth academy. He's also a lifelong Brighton fan, whom I've had many long conversations with regarding the club to train to the club on train journeys and to home and away games. As have plenty of Brighton fans, but it doesn't change anything about FFP. And the thing is, I'm pretty sure by your criteria, Brighton wouldn't be the richest club on the richest club list. But the last season, they made a profit. Okay. Ooh. Of $122 million. A million pounds. I get it, right? Okay. And that's without the sales of Caicedo or McAllister. So who's actually rich? The clubs, or the wealthy owners, or the healthy balance sheet? That's the future of football, sustainability, not buying or promotion titles. Now to the elephant in the room. Okay, this is where it kind of changes. But everything here, I'm in complete agreement with, really. I mean, they do have a great academy. In fact, some people I think are talking about the 49ers actually looking at their academy to do some kind of, and this is common in the US. I don't know how common this will be in the in English football, but we trade players. We trade established players for younger players. So there might be a deal being orchestrated, because I do believe his academy is correct. He has a very good, Brighton has a very good academy, where we trade, or we sell Cree permanently to Brighton, but we also take in a player kind of similar to the way Darko Jambi was negotiated away from Man City and Calvin Phillips. So this will be just interesting to see if that unfolds. Now let's go to okay. There is this delusional belief in the Leeds United fan base that they are a huge club. They're not absolutely. They're a well-supported club, numbers-wise, with a rich history, but fans think it's still the same club from the 1960s and early 1970s, when they were kind of forced to believe, when they were kind of a force for a brief period, mainly through being dirty and cheating a lot. It's not. Firstly, that was nearly 60 years ago, and absolutely nothing achieved then is relevant in a completely new modern era of football, and a completely different competition with completely different rules and financial regulations. And given their total collapse and disintegration the club suffered over the past 20 years, they're still trying to fully recover from. They're not even the club that played in Europe in 2003, then got relegated in 2004. I know all this history, by the way. I'm going to take a pause here. This guy's going to go on, but I know all that. I like Leeds because it fits who I am. I like the grind. I like the climb up from the ashes to rise like a phoenix, like I believe, and I think the 49ers believe this club will do. And I think we all know it as Leeds United fans. And you saw glimpses of it in the 3 years that we had up in the Premier League. You saw it in a couple Man United fixtures where we drew. You saw it in the win against Chelsea. You saw it in maybe Liverpool away, but you saw it in some of the draws towards the end. You saw it in the first Bielsa season, even though it was behind closed doors. So this club it's going to grind back up, and with proper ownership, I think it has the makings, right? So it's my club. It's who I've chosen. I know all this going in. I actually researched this before I was becoming a bigger fan. I was reading about the history of the club. Anyways, he goes on. This is the 21st century, and Leeds are Premier League history. Leeds Premier League history in the 21st century is more or less identical to Brighton, except by the end of the season, Brighton will have 8 EPL seasons in the 21st century, and Leeds will have 7, but their joint ranking average is currently 12th and 13th. They have both played in European competitions. Leeds fans need to lose the chip on their shoulder. That lets them believe that anyone thinks they're relevant outside of the UK. Outside of the UK's version of the Appalachian Mountains, and the Ozarks combined, most football fans in Yorkshire live in a lovely delusional bubble about themselves, the era and the area and the football clubs. And the reason most of them still think Leeds are the team of the 60s and 70s is because most of them think they're still living in those times. I think that's a little harsh there. I doubt that that's not true. No, everybody's here in 2024, okay, pal? I've been a football fan of Brighton my entire life, even when I attended the 1970 FA Cup between Chelsea and Leeds. What were you doing at the FA Cup between Chelsea and Leeds if you're a Brighton fan? But I digress. The rest of this is very, you're eloquent in other ways, but that makes me kind of tilt my head and go, what were you doing there? Every single time I've encountered a Leeds United supporter until this day, I've encountered racism, sexism, misogyny, homophobia, and hatred. Again, that's where I'm going. No. You can't group an entire fan base with those types of words. You just can't do it. No. Does every club have some of those categories you've just mentioned? Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I could pick out any fan base of any club in the world. But again, yeah. That's the only problem with Leeds, he goes on to write. Not the club, nobody cares, not the area, although nobody moves there. Not the people in general, they seem pretty pleasant. It's the Neanderthal element that exists at the heart of the Leeds and nearby all Yorkshire Football Club fans. We all had that element at all the clubs at one point, but outside of Yorkshire, it's all been but eliminated. I was ecstatic when Leeds went down last season, and when Sheffield United and Burnley went down this season. Also Luton, because that's also a hotbed of racism. I just, I have a problem with okay, I'm just going to go on I'll finish it up because it's the last sentence. And I was happy when Leeds failed to gain promotion, but it's nothing to do with Leeds as a club. It's their toxic, delusional fans. Now, look, I'm going to go. This guy went on a thing. I have a problem when anybody starts to say a geographic region is one way or another. I don't think that's true. In America, right? I live in upstate New York. The coasts are generally liberal, right? But I'm making generalizations. The coasts are liberal. There's pockets of the South and the Midwest that are liberal, and then everybody's conservative and all this stuff. I can make those generalizations maybe by looking at a voter map of, let's say, the presidential election. And in America, the Democrats are represented by blue and the Republicans are represented by red. And I can zoom in on this little county in one of the states, and I can say, this is a red county. They're all racist and idiots and uneducated. I don't think that that's true. I don't think that's true. I don't think we as people should be thinking like that. I think we should have a little bit more nuance. And so while I agree with him that Brighton is doing some great things, and they are in many ways, I would be actually, you're right. You're correct. I'm very envious of what's going on at Brighton. The academy, the way they're doing business, the way they've hired coaching, their their shirt, their badge sponsors. I mean, the Amex is a huge sponsor. I don't know. I just think that they're doing their business really well. There's a lot of things where I remember, because I've been a Leeds fan for 7, 8, 9 years now, playing Brighton in the championship, going and getting waxed by them and always having trouble down there. I mean, I think we lost even the Prim there a couple times. So I've been envious of Brighton in many ways, but I just don't like the fact where I see people that are like, well, you're this and you're that and that's that because you're from there and I'm from here. It's just it just continues to divide us. I mean, it's a race to the bottom, right? So anyways, that's my rant on human behavior. I liked it, and I think some of that stigma with Leeds United unfortunately does exist. I don't believe I think you're going to find those types of, you know, fans everywhere. You're going to find, again, you're going to find racism, sexism, all that stuff in every fan base. But to say one fan base is better than the other based on that, based on their ethics or values, I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't think that you can find that. You know, you're going to start to find that polling. And maybe people have done it, but until you walk into a voter booth, like here in America or something, and say, what's your NFL team? And then I say my NFL team, and then they start saying, they do like some sort of survey, and it's like, whatever. I don't know. You say some stupid survey, and it's like, there's no way you can know this data. You're making generalizations, and that's my problem with it, and I don't like that. So anyways, up the Whites, and we are a fantastic fan base. We're a fantastic fan base because we love our club, because because in Leeds, everyone is Leeds, and that's what I appreciate. That is our values, actually, right there. In Leeds, everyone's Leeds, and I think if the guy was to come up to Leeds, he'd find that out. So anyways, that's my rant. Hope you guys are all doing well. I hope to do more of these conversations. I want to do a bigger podcast, maybe with some of the other content creators. I haven't had a chance to really kind of come on and get that. I'm just kind of, again, coming back into the fold, house move, all this stuff. I'm living out of boxes and stuff. But I haven't had a home office for like 6 months. So now I'm able to kind of do some more content. Smash the like the smash. It's the only way to support me. And up the Whites. Be well. Leeds, Leeds, Leeds.